Gordon, Zanzala going alone, gets a shooting opportunity, and Offrande Zanzala, a couple of minutes into his first start for Barrow.
So, Az, can you tell us, where did your love for football come from, and where did it start, what age?
So for me, football was always part of my life. You know, since young, playing with my brothers at a park, with friends. You know, watching football, the World Cups, watching the likes of David Beckham, Thierry Henry, Ronaldinho, and so many more players. It kind of, I don't know, started more like the age of like 4. As I said, just like literally just a kick around, and obviously just being in love with some of the skills, being obviously shown by like legends in the game at the time, and yeah, and just, you know, managed to become my dream to obviously hopefully one day fulfill that dream.
Since when you started playing football, have you always been a striker, or did you play different positions before and then move up to being a striker?
Yeah, I've always been a striker actually. I've always been a striker. I've literally, yeah, I don't know why I decided to be a striker. I don't know where that came from. I think I just had the love for goals really from a young age, just scoring, that feeling of celebrating. You know, when that ball hits the back of the net, it's the best feeling in the world. And I think for me, that kind of decided who I was going to be and the type of role I was going to play and what position I was going to play. Of course, growing up, being trained and knowing my skill sets, my strengths and my weaknesses, of course, that kind of adapted to naturally for me being a striker. But yeah, I think you can never take away that feeling when you score a goal. When it hits that back of the net, it's the best feeling, so yeah.
Does that play into who your football idol is? Is it someone of the same position, or is it a different type of footballer?
For me, it's always been Drogba, Thierry Henry. With how I play, I would say Didier Drogba, physical, show passion in how I play, direct for goal, eye for goal. You know, and just being free, showing skills. I feel like for me as a player, I've adapted a lot of different parts of different players. For example, I like to see myself as not just a specific striker. I want to do loads of different things. If it's like, for example, in different positions of the game, of the pitch, I like to come out and be, I don't know, Robinho or Ronaldinho, or, you know, when I'm dribbling and it's like, okay, when my back's against goal, you know, Drogba or Zlatan Ibrahimovic. In the box, for example, being sharp, I don't know, David Villa, for example, or just different elements where I've adapted, I've took from other players as well, watching and learning to kind of form me, really. So, yeah.
So what kind of football did you prefer to watch? The more like robotic looking players nowadays, you look at maybe like Haaland and Salah, or like the more expressive players, maybe like people like Doku or Semenyo, or players like that. Who do you prefer to watch?
For me, to be fair, like Semenyo, Doku, the ones that are exciting, I think that's where the love of the football comes. That's where people fall in love of going to watch their team play, because when you see Doku, for example, dribbling, you're up on your feet. Do you know what I mean? So like that, it's exciting, and that's what fans want to go watch. Or when you're watching TV, like, oh, what's happening there? Or look at him go, or he's dribbling, or he's 1v1, and just like, for example, Ronaldo. Do you know what I mean? Every time he plays, hate him or love him, you're gonna watch Ronaldo clips, aren't you? Because of what he does, or what he, you know, how he comes across and what skills he's doing, or how he is embarrassing, you know, defenders. And, you know, same with Messi, like what he does on the pitch, the ability to do that at a top level, year in, year out. Skills, I love just watching skills people, you know, do skills, or like finishers, for example, Harry Kane and, you know, Drogba, which I've mentioned, and just loads of people where you're excited to watch. And I think instead of just more of, you know, I'm a big centre forward, and yeah, I'm more of the exciting side of things, really.
So knowing who your idol is and kind of what age you started to like football, what your earliest days you remember playing football, and what kind of teams were you playing in?
So for me, it all started when I was in Austria. I tried playing football there, but it was just more of just a kick around. When I came to England, I started playing football at age 8, and then from there, just literally just a normal kid, just playing at a park. I think I was just literally kicking a ball by myself. That's how much I loved football. Just going to the park down the road, playing football, and I got picked up by a coach at the time who was coaching for a team, Sunday League team called Hyson Green in Nottingham, and then from there, just literally just progressed, trained, joined that team, scored goals, played, adapted with other players, learned the skills of the game and elements of how to become a better player, obviously from the likes of his coaching, which helped me massively till this day, and is still we're still in touch and in contact in terms of obviously with my development throughout my academy days and professional days as well. So it's played a massive part in my early journeys and even till today. But yeah, I mean, Hyson Green, they've made a massive impact in my life, where I started playing football grassroots, because it was an area where it was difficult. It wasn't easy. It was difficult. Loads of players had their own stories, which is good. It's good to have. I think it shows character, and it got us all together just playing football, and everyone just comes and plays with a smile.
Okay, so obviously playing football at an early age. What's that transition like when you go from maybe playing for your school or playing for a local grassroots team to then stepping into academy football?
It's hard. It's not easy. It's challenging. It's very testing, because when I was 8 going on to 11, up to 11, I've been on trial to the likes of Forest. I've been on trial to other clubs as well. But being rejected, being told you're not good enough or you're not ready for different reasons, it's kind of molded me to not giving up, have that resilience, and then obviously getting picked up at Derby County when I was 12. I remember the day. So there was obviously talks, them coming to watch scouts and stuff like that on a Sunday League game, where I was doing well, top goal scorer, scoring. And one season I scored 93 goals in 23 games or something like that. And then Derby, scouts and a few other scouts came and watched the game. I remember it was yesterday, the game against Wilford Mavericks, where I scored 6 goals, we won. And the scout was there watching from Derby, and when I scored, I went past him and winked, and then ever since then, went to go sign for Derby, and yeah, that's where kind of my career really started, really being in obviously, that privilege to go play for a club such as Derby County, having to adapt to that transition, but it wasn't easy. Don't get me wrong, it's easier said than done. It was very, very challenging because I had to adapt to the standard. I went in there on my first training session very raw as a player, technically. One thing I did have was heart and work rate, where I knew myself that I had something which they didn't have, which was hunger. And I was, at the time, I wasn't going to give up. I wasn't going to be beaten. I wasn't going to be outrun. I was a player who, even at that age, at age 12, training with great players, academy, standard, Cat 1, great ability individually, technically. But as a player, I've always had that hunger to not be beaten, because you may be better than me in this part, but you're not going to beat me. I will find a way, and I've always been like that, and I think I've adapted very quickly in that environment. Some people sink, but when you get put to the test of, here's your opportunity, go showcase your talent, I think you have to stand up to it instead of run away from it. And it didn't faze me. If anything, it kind of got the better out of me, the best out of me, because I knew this is the opportunity which I need to make my life and make my dream come true. And yeah, ever since then, things have just escalated, going up.
Is it important for a young, whether it be academy player or someone that plays to maybe a relatively decent standard outside of something like professional football, is it important for you to have not too much arrogance, but instead of maybe thinking, I need to prove why I'm here, maybe think, no, I deserve to be here, let me play freely and express the player I am, rather than maybe putting the pressure on yourself to, again, provide whatever for your team and prove why you're there? Just be like, oh, well, I deserve to be here, this is what I can give. Which sort of... I
think as a player, you need to know, first and foremost, which I always get told. I've always been getting told this from when I was young. This has always been the message that I've been told, is that you never forget where you come from. And I think that's so crucial, and it's a key phrase, never forget where you come from, because you're gonna go to places where you've never been before. You're gonna go to places where it might be a challenge. You're gonna go to places where they're gonna test you differently. You're gonna be out of your comfort zone. So when you go into these places and you've got the opportunity to go showcase your talent, you're there for a reason. See it as an opportunity to go flourish and show off your talent, because you don't always get a second opportunity sometimes, especially in football. Football is very cutthroat, very, very cutthroat. People get released left, right and centre in a team with loads of players in, and maybe 3 or 4 may get picked. So you got to imagine yourself and have that mindset of, if there's 3 players that are going to get picked out of a squad of 12, squad of 16, squad of 18, are you good enough to be that person, that player, to be picked out of the 2, out of the 3? So it's a case of, that's the reality of football, which people need to understand also, even at a young age. If it's parents telling their kids, if it's players at academy levels, to know the truth, because some coaches may not tell you this, but I've been told this from my family, through my coach, that it's cutthroat, and this is the reality. And because of the hunger that I had for the game, to make sure that I became a professional footballer, because there was no plan B for myself, for my family, for my future, is that I had something to fight for, which was more than just materialistic things. I didn't have anything to fall back on. I had, difficulties back at home, where football had to be the be and end all. There was no second choices. And I seen it as, this is me, I've arrived, I'm going to show everyone what I'm about, and I am going to get that pro contract, I'm going to get that scholarship. But for players, a mindset is a big thing. A mindset is a make or break. And I think it's a cliche where people say it too often, or they don't know how much that actually means when people say, it's either make or break. Because for me, for example, my hunger is different to another player's hunger, because of where I come from, because of the message that I carry, because of the story that I carry, not just for myself, but I'm representing my family as well. I'm representing my future, I'm representing my name. So I'm playing not just for me, I'm playing for my family, for me to be able to give them a better life, or to be able to support them when they need me, or even just my friend, just to be there in a place where I can say I'm comfortable, and I've made this work, I've made this happen because of my hard work. So yeah, it's very important to grab the opportunity with both hands, because football, sometimes you may not have that opportunity.
Okay, so obviously moving up through the years at Derby, tell us about some of maybe memorable games you played, or maybe some of your favourite goals.
Oh wow, there's been loads of great memories at Derby, coming through, loads of games that I played, playing in the same pitch as, Rashford's, so many more players, Man City players and Tammy Abrahams and Dom Solanke, Easy Browns, Loftus-Cheek and stuff. And, being even on the same pitch as Ivan Toney playing against Newcastle, where, I can remember the game where we played and, he misplaced a pass. I ran in behind, got the ball, went past the player, sat him down, chopped, went round the keeper, scored, from a tight angle, and was literally one of the best moments of my time, because, there was a lot of talks around him going on loan somewhere, and there was loads of scouts that were there on the day as well, which was even better, because obviously scoring such a goal like I did, and being on the same pitch as Ivan Toney as well, big names, and having so much interest at the back of that. And also as well, another one which I can remember, which would have to be against Man City, where I think it was Mo Adams at the time, who was my teammate at the time. Mo Adams, he played the ball in behind. It was quite high, to be fair. Played the ball in behind, and I brought it down with my right foot. A defender was coming. I pushed it round on the right side, I ran round the left, went past him, and then ran into the box, and then slotted it in the corner. I think that's one of my best moments at academy days for goals, where it was a proud moment, obviously, for myself. I think we drew, if I remember rightly. I think we drew, but yeah, just that goal to score against obviously City was a big thing, and obviously, as everyone knows, the facilities was top notch. So
in academy football, again, as me as someone who's not really exposed to it as much, you see things like Premier League 2 and everything like the National League Cup. Is there anything that you won in your academy days? It could be as a team or personally, that you still pride yourself and are like, you were still really proud that you won that trophy or something back in your academy days?
Yeah, for me, we won the Premier League 2, which was a big highlight for me of my career as well, at Derby. For the team as well, we had a great team. We won Premier League, League 2, Premier League League 2, Category 2, sorry. And I won Player of the Month in October, where I went to go score 4 goals in 3 games, and it was it was a great month, So scoring obviously 4 goals against some good oppositions, some good players, some good teams and stuff like that. Winning Player of the Month, Premier League Player of the Month was a big thing, because obviously you coming up against players which I think it was even at the time like Alex Iwobi, who was obviously in the same league, and so many more players, and winning that was a big achievement for myself. It showed a lot of interest as well, where I had interest from a Premier League club at the time for a mil at age 18, which was obviously mind-blowing, but for me obviously it's a great achievement as well, which showcased my talent to the world, to the bigger clubs, which at the time obviously being at Derby and Cat 1, which we playing the likes of the Cities and United and Chelsea's and Arsenal's and stuff. But yeah, just for that interest and the offer when it came in at 18, it was a big moment for myself, for sure.
I was thinking that obviously if you're scoring against big teams, and maybe scouts are coming to watch the players like the sorts of Iwobi's, Rashford's, Tony's, and they're coming to watch them, and they see you scoring as well. That must have generated some interest.
Yeah, 100%. And this is at the time I was obviously privileged to have played alongside great players as well, also to help me make that happen. But as you've said, it generated a lot of interest from managers, teams, clubs, where went to go on loan to Stevenage. To make my debut under Teddy Sheringham, and someone like himself, that the player he was, scoring goals for United, scoring goals for England. It just showcased my talent playing against these Cat 1 clubs, against defenders such as, Reece Oxford, for example, who I think either one of the youngest or is the youngest ever player for West Ham to make their debut, playing the likes of him and doing well, where Teddy Sheringham's coming to the game watching, Derby versus Arsenal, but he picks, going to go watch other players, but he sees me and, picks me out of the bunch of other players that he went to go watch. And same with like West Ham, going to go watch West Ham versus Derby, and I do well, and he's like, yeah, he wants me again. And, going on to make my debut for Stevenage, at a young age, and making my debut under someone like Teddy Sheringham is a big thing, and I'm proud, obviously, to be able to learn off him as a manager, as a coach, as a mentor as well. Little things which still, I replicate in my game till today, which he's taught me, and just knowledge of the game is been crazy.
What's that feeling like where you play for an academy, you have so many probably hard training sessions, you see it on maybe Crystal Palace's documentary where you see the conversations between coaches and players and their parents of obviously letting them go. You would have, I imagine, seen people in your teams let go. What's that feeling like when you're all working towards the same goal in a team of making it pro and making your debut within probably the Football League or the Premier League? What's that feeling like when you step onto the pitch and it kind of becomes real that all the hard work has led to your debut in professional football?
Yeah, I mean, it's as I said earlier, it's so cutthroat, it's so hard industry to be in. Only a few get professional contracts, only a few go on to make their debuts at a young age, only a few go on to play along great players or managers. The opportunity, you have to be mentally very, very strong. And for me, seeing the opportunity every game, for example, from young, going onto the pitch, I see it as this could be your last game, because you just never know what could happen. And you never know what's around the corner. I mean, it works both ways. It could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. A good thing, you could have someone in the stand watch you, just as I mentioned, where a scout, a club. But I think, when you're in a team and players get released and, at an age like, for example, age 16, and you've lived all your life just playing football, knowing, kicking a ball, that's all you've known, and to be able to be let go, it's hard. It's a big thing to take at a young age. I can remember being let go, not being accepted, shall I say, sorry, when I went on trial at Forest, and it was difficult. At a young age, I think I was like 10 or 11. It was difficult because I had to pick myself up, dust myself off, and go again. But as I said, it's easier said than done. I had to work hard. I had to say to myself that this is not the end. This is not where my career stops. I've got so much more to give. I'm a good player. I've got to believe in myself. Obviously, my family support me massively throughout my journey since I started. And just kind of like going back to basics of working hard, and keep your dream alive, because football at the same time is a sport of opinions. One manager, one coach might say you're not good enough, but the next might say you're the best thing they've seen. So you've always got to believe and think that there's always going to be an opportunity somewhere. You just got to keep going. And it's obviously important to have that as a player, because you got to have that resilience to never give up, to just keep going. But yeah, it was amazing making my debut for Stevenage. I can remember, coming out. It's crazy because when I signed for Stevenage, I had to obviously relocate as well, move down and, you know, stay in a hotel at the time. I was young. You know, I got given the number 9, which was kind of like a big burden to, you know, to carry. I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit like anxious and scared. I'm thinking, I'm gonna be making my debut. And I think one of the craziest thing is that I can remember I had the feeling of, like FIFA, for example, when you play FIFA and you play, I think his name is Hunter on player mode, whatever it's called, and he's coming out the tunnel, walking down the tunnel, and you can hear the noise before you see the fans. You're walking down the tunnel onto the pitch, and as you come out the tunnel, and you can see all the fans clapping, chanting, singing songs, and I can remember walking out, and that's when it hit me. That's when it hit me, and I was like, I'm making my debut. I'm making my debut today, you know, for Stevenage, and on the Teddy Sheringham, and I just wanted to make myself proud. You know, obviously it was a moment for myself to swallow, because I was like, wow, this is actually really happening. You know, I'm starting, you know, and yeah, proud moment for my family as well. I did well. We drew 0-0. Yeah, I was young. Gosh, I was very, very young, and yeah, it was just a proud moment for myself, and my family being there as well. It just made everything a lot more easier. But I had to be very strong-minded because I was playing against adults. But I knew in myself that if I'm myself, I'll be fine. Physically, I was good. I coped against some big defenders at the time. Gosh, I don't know how I did that still, but you know, I think my mind kind of like got me through the game really. But yeah, proud moment.
That's giving me another question actually. As a football fan, you see so many young players going out on loan, maybe from my team, City, or you've seen they go all over the country. What is that like when you have a base, obviously at Derby, and then you get loaned somewhere where you need to relocate? Does it come with its own set of problems, or what's that like for a young player?
It's challenging, because what you have to do is you have to adapt where you go. You have to adapt to environment. You have to adapt to circumstances. I don't know, when I was younger, for example, when I went on loan to Stevenage, I had to leave my home, my family. I had to leave my home to relocate. You know, all I've known is waking up, going to go play football, but everything else is taken care of. Food is taken care of. Transport is taken care of. You know, so you have to adapt, and it's not easy. It's very, very hard, because you have to become a man at a young age. You have to be reliable on yourself to be able to get things done. If it's i.e. cooking, if it's i.e. making sure you plan your day properly. You're doing your drills, you're doing your exercises, you're getting there on time, and da-da-da-da-da. So it is a big thing, because you have to kind of stand on your own 2 feet. You know, you have to make sure that if this is what you want as a youngster wanting to become a professional footballer, or this is the life that you want to be, you have to be able to adapt to circumstances where, for example, you may not, like when I went to Stevenage, I did not know where Stevenage was. I didn't know how far it was going to take me. I didn't know where I was going to stay. Yeah, obviously got it sorted, things like that, but it's a case of I had to take the risk of, okay, this is what I want, you know, and enjoy the process as well, because this is part of being a footballer. This is part of, you know, the dream that you want. You know, you can't, obviously some people have done it, some people do it, where they play for one club for the whole career. Perfect, that's fine. They come through the ranks, they stay there, they play first team, they get a professional contract, they stay there until they retire. Obviously, in my case, it's not worked like that. And I've experienced different places, I've experienced different teams, managers, and yeah, life skills and life lessons which I've learned along the way, where it's molded me as a person, it's molded me as a player also, where I'm glad I've done that at a young age, and not just being comfortable, because I had to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. because nothing in life is comfortable. You can't be comfortable in anything. You know, you're gonna have tests. You're gonna have things pop up in your life where you have to deal with at that time. So for me, you know, yeah, having to move and adapt at a young age, and you know, still do that throughout my career as well. Places like the Carlisle, Exeter, Torquay, which are far, but I had to do it because at the same time you make the decision what's right for your career at the time, and of course you're still growing and still learning. So there's more good than bad, if people want to see it in that way. Yeah, I've enjoyed every step. I've enjoyed every journey that I've made.
Nice. Going back to when you said you made your debut under Teddy Sheringham, that must be amazing for you and for your family as well, who being coached by such a high level player that's been there, done that for, you know, Manchester United. Is there anybody else that you've learned off, coach, teammate, or maybe in the academy you saw the first team players? Is there anyone else that you've learned off that gave you some really invaluable experience for your career?
Yeah, for me as a striker, I had the privilege to play with Darren Bent, where it was a reserves game. We played, and I learned so much. He's someone who helped me at the time when I was at Derby, mentored me how to strike a ball, movements in the box, movements in behind, and as you've said, someone like, for example, like Darren Bent to learn off is, you couldn't ask for a better player who's done it at a high level, who's done it international level. You know, just how he is, his personality, his character at the time, just being himself. Because I think at a young age when you're academy and you're looking up to players, the first team, or you train with the first team and you think, oh my gosh, it can be a bit very timid. You don't want to do a mistake. It can be, you know, you may do too much, but I think like speaking to the likes of Darren Bent, and there was so many more players, you know, which along the way, which helped, of course, and just picking Darren Bent, you know, because obviously being a striker as well, learning off him has helped me massively, because what he's done in the game, but also how he is, as I said, his personality, his character is very bubbly and very open, and he just took me on his wing where it helped me and it comforted me, where I could just be myself. You know, just be myself, enjoy the football, enjoy the process, enjoy the challenges ahead. You know, when I can remember going to train with the first team, and you know, I'll go down, train with the first team with my shin pads on, and you know, they would laugh at me, jokes and stuff, because I'm, you know, bubbly person, bubbly character and stuff, and you know, they used to laugh at me and be like, oh, look at you coming down, training with you know, with your shin pads, and because obviously they won't train with the shin pads and stuff like that. But for health and safety, injuries wise, I think we had to anyway, coming up, obviously being a youngster. But you know, it's just like moments like that, for example, when you're in and around the first team environment, in training facilities, and you're training with them, you're seeing how they train firsthand, the standard, the abilities which were shown across players, you know, and it's at that age I can remember just looking, thinking, wow, like this is the standard. People are hitting this ball with pure technique into the corner, you know, consistently. You know, this person is dribbling past this player, you know, like so much easier than when I'm doing it. So you learn, and I've picked up so much along the way, and there's been loads of players in the academy at Derby where, yeah, it helped me massively. But Darren Bent, yeah, you know, give him all his credit. He's definitely played a massive part in making me more comfortable when I was younger, growing up through the academy days.
So taking all of the advice you've learned off of past managers and past mentors and other teammates and other players you've played with or against, obviously when playing through your days at different clubs, what's been either one or a couple of your favourite moments that you've had during your career that have really made everything when you were young, all the hard times, worth it?
Wow, definitely winning the league. League Two with Accrington. You know, going there at the back of my ACL. I did an ACL when I was at Derby, being out for 10 months, which was very, very difficult. Being strong mentally, knowing and believing that I'm going to come back, not giving up. Having that hardship of dealing with obviously the injury itself, and then being able to go on loan to Accrington, which you know, in League Two at the time, and you know, being able to play under, you know, manager and players which were obviously going for promotion. Me being young at the time, and yeah, winning the league was literally the best feeling, and that moment there made me realise and understand that all the hard work that I've put in throughout the years, that it was all worthwhile. That I'm glad that I didn't give up. I'm glad I kept going. I'm glad that, you know, I believed in myself, because before anyone believes in you, you have to believe in your own dream. You have to believe in who you are and what you want to achieve, because people will come in shaking your dream. People may come and tell you you're not good enough. But, you know, when that happened, I think a penny dropped for me to say that this is the moment and this is the place where I want to be. And this is what I want to do moving forward. And of course, go on to do more and do better, and not just settle for what I've done. But yeah, winning the league at League Two with Accrington was definitely a proud moment for myself. And then to top it up, going to go do it twice with Exeter as well, which, you know, again, manager, staffs were amazing. The place, lovely place, fans, amazing. Players were, yeah, credit to play with alongside some great players, abilities, how we played, style of played. It was just, yeah, it was amazing. And of course, you know, winning the league then as well, getting promoted, shall I say, sorry, with Exeter was in League Two, was another mark in my career, which I was proud of. And of course, you know, doing the bus parade, you know, seeing all the fans and going through town, and that's what you play football for. That's where you look back and you're like, you know what, all them Sunday games where you go and play, where it's raining and it's chucking it down, and your parents are there shivering on the side watching you play, you know, and you know, injuries and so many more obstacles that come your way as a player. You look back and you say, you know what, this is something where no one can take away from me. You know, winning leagues, that's a proud moment for myself, and where I can look back in years to come and say, you know what, I've achieved something in football. Yeah, and of course, you know, goals as well, and playing against some great players, playing on some great clubs, stadiums, and same pitch as some great players, and playing against great players as well. That's obviously a proud moment as well.
So along with obviously, you know, being in two title winning teams, what's been your favourite goal? It can be an academy goal or a goal from any point in your career. What's been your favourite goal?
For me, my favourite goal, I'll say, of course, it will have to be the first goal when I scored in the league against Wickham. If I remember right, ball got played in behind. I ran in behind. I pinned the defender back against goal. I rolled the defender. He's brought me down in the box for a penalty, and I was just so. We was winning at the time. I was just so adamant to take the penalty, and I can remember Seamus Keneally, the captain at the time for Accrington, said I could take it. I wasn't the penalty taker. He said I could take it, and I was just literally so excited to say that this is my opportunity. And I can remember I put the ball down. I took steps back. I ran to the ball, and I slotted it. And that feeling, honestly, it was the best feeling. You know, fans were behind the goal as well, the Accrington fans, and you know, just cheering me on and congratulating me, players coming to congratulate me as well, and yeah, it was a. I think that day just, yeah, it was the best, because scoring your first league goal is like, wow, I've done it. Obviously after the game as well, fans and players, congratulating me as well, and even like it was that exciting. For example, even like seeing my name on first time on Sky Sports, my name's saying I've scored, and yeah, it was just crazy. And it's just moments like that you just cherish, because these are things when you're young, you look forward to, you dream of scoring your first goal. And I think that moment for me has got to be one of the best moments in my life. And of course, going on to score goals in the league as well, playing for some great clubs, great managers and great players as well. I remember scoring for Carlisle. It was against Southend away. The goal where I think it was Aaron Hayden headed the ball from near the halfway line, headed the ball towards me anyway. I chested it down, I brought it down with my chest. I brought it down, I've gone on the dribble. I've dribbled, I've done a body balance. The player's dropped, I've touched it and I've hit it, beat the keeper near stick. Yeah, it was a great goal. So yeah, I would say probably that one. Just thinking on top of my head, yeah.
So, I mean, for some, you think of players like Phil Foden, Trent Alexander-Arnold, players like that come through at their boyhood clubs and then make the step into the Premier League, and maybe, I suppose, maybe take for granted this sort of teams they play against, the players and the grounds. It shows how big contests like the FA Cup are. Obviously, we see on this weekend Macclesfield are playing Crystal Palace, which is absolutely amazing. Has there ever been a sort of cup tie you've played in or been a part of that you've kind of you've been picked out the hat and you've been like, oh my, we're playing at this stadium against this team?
Yeah, wow. I mean, when I was at Newport, we had obviously we did well, in the cup and stuff, and yeah, when we got drawn to United at home, that was a big one. Obviously, it attracted a lot of attention. Sell-out stadium. Because I come back from an injury. I did my ACL, over leg ACL. I've come back from that, and then obviously United at home. In the FA Cup. Just to see the players that you see on TV, like the Bruno Fernandes, the Casemiros, which after the game, privileged obviously to have his shirt. Garnacho, and there were so many players. The United team itself was just like, wow. You see them on TV week in, week out, and you've got the privilege to be on the same pitch as them. Is obviously a big deal, because at the end of the day you can compare yourself to the standard, being on the pitch playing the likes of, I don't know, Bruno Fernandes, how good he is, how good, I don't know, Garnacho, it really is. Yes, you see him on TV and he makes it look easy sometimes or whatever, but to see him firsthand, it's a big thing. And I think it then just shows where you are level wise. Of course, the Premier League is, top division, of course, but just to have that moment to say, you know what, I've been able to witness this person play on the same platform, same pitch, speak to them, get advice, get their shirt, and even the likes of, for example, like in the pre-season for Accrington, where we played against Marseille, playing on the same pitch as Payet, exceptional player, and the Marseille team, even like the manager, The players, it was frightening. You know, some great talent, but played at some great stadiums against some big clubs. But definitely, I'll say FA Cup against United. Seeing obviously that draw as well, it's like we're going to be playing United at Newport, and that's crazy. So yeah, that was great.
So yeah, I mean, you've obviously had a career that young players, would do anything for. You know, won titles, promotion, had those moments, I suppose, where you feel like you're on top of the world and you played against some of the best players on the planet. Obviously, now you're in National League North, Tier 6, I believe. Started the season with Chester, now Marine. There's a question I wanted to ask of somebody who watches football. I've seen likes of Ben Foster say it after he obviously went to Wrexham from Watford. Can it sometimes be tougher than higher league football? Because, I mean, when you watch it on telly, the players make it look like they've got so much time on the ball, but you realise it's the way they touch the ball and they know exactly where to move it. And then you look at, obviously Ben Foster said that he really struggled playing in the National League because it's so much more physical, there's so many more maybe things that the refs don't see or the linesmen don't see. Is it tougher, do you feel, or?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely tougher. The reason why I say that is because yes, of course, there's teams in this league and teams higher up as well, which they make the pitch bigger, which then you have more time on the ball. But then, of course, great players, even in tight areas, they'll be able to still receive the ball, turn with the ball, do magical moments in games. I'll definitely say it's tougher. And another reason to that is also, of course, pitch, having pitch, some of the pitches, of course, play a part as well to the standard. The obviously pitch is higher up. They like carpet, and you can play. You can pass the ball. You're not gonna worry about a bobble or a heavy pitch. Whereas the lower leagues, for example, you're gonna have a test in the pitch. You're gonna have a test in the standards of other players. You're gonna have a test in officials, if you want to say. Not to take anything away, obviously great leagues, privileged to play in this league, and obviously, of course, it's an honour as well to still, be given the opportunity to go, flourish and showcase my talent. For me, I would just say the higher leagues probably make the pitch bigger and get into better areas and spaces quicker, and decision making is the big thing into the separation to the leagues and also in players. But as I've said, this league, there's so much talent in this league. Players get bored, players get moved on to higher leagues, to bigger clubs, and so it's definitely a league which you don't want to underestimate, because, as I said, there's talent, there's quality, and also there's clubs there which have got high, aspiration as a club, and inspire obviously to go do great things. So for me, of course, having this opportunity to showcase my talent, because at the end of the day, I love playing football. I will always play football, because that's my love, that's my passion. So for me, it's not seeing it a case of, yes, the environment and the structure because of the league is different, but at the same time, the love of the game and still the willingness to want to be successful in a team, in the league, to win the league, to score goals is still the same for me. And that's never changed, regardless if it's been in League One, League Two, however it may be, National League, whatever, that's never changed for me.
As a sort of closing question, obviously, you said to me you're 30, is it soon?
Yes, this year, yes. Don't remind me though, gosh.
Have you sort of got maybe, obviously you're not all by any stretch of imagination, but have you got sort of an eye on maybe what you'll do after football? Are you setting anything up at the moment, trying to?
Yeah, so for me, whilst playing, still playing obviously, do obviously coaching as well. So coaching, a big part of my life has always been wanting to become a coach. And of course, as I said, I'm doing it at this moment in time, currently still coaching. And I want to pursue into that more and further in years to come. Currently as well, giving back to players who want my service, who need my service to be able to flourish in their career, either becoming a professional footballer, if it's at an academy, because for me, for example, being at a Cat 1 academy, for me, I know what it takes to be at a Cat 1 academy in terms of standards, and just giving back that knowledge and the understanding of the game because of my journey and players who I've played against, players who I've played with, managers who I've been played under, to be able to give back to players who want to, be professional footballers. And for me, this is something which is happening now with the coaching, and there's so many things to come. There's so many more, doors to be open with this, and I'm just honoured and privileged to be able to do this. I think it's come at a right time of my career, age of course as well. Not to say that football's been put aside, because I'm not old enough, or hopefully I'm still got the passion for football, still want to be playing football, still want to be playing till I can't play anymore. If that takes me till 35, till 40, like the Ronaldo, then let's do it. You've got to look after yourself, of course. But the coaching side, that's pushing, and I'm excited. I'm excited for this year, the journey which I'm going to be going on to eventually become, a higher UEFA B, UEFA A coach, and you just never know where that takes you. So loving the coaching currently, and it's going to be more and bigger things to come. So I'm so much looking forward to it.
Good.
Thank you very much.